welcome back to the AM Club right here on MX24. Thank you so much for being a part of the show this morning. My name is Miriam Uduak Menta, and it's Monday. So, my friends and I are sitting down today to look through all the big conversations, all the big topics that, sprang up over the weekend and even this morning as well. So, stay right here with us. Before I get into our big conversation this morning, with Jibu Water, staying refreshed has never been easier. Jibu Water provides clean, healthy water you can trust as your go-to source for drinking and cooking. And I keep telling you, you think water has no role to play in cooking. Try cooking with water that has taste or dirty water, and you would understand how impactful it is to get you clean water to cook your meals, of course, for the family. And Jibu Water is what we highly recommend. Now we have options of innovative 20-liter bottles that come with a tap and 18.9-liter bottles. Your dispensers will have a breath of new life just experiencing these innovative bottles. Call us today on 020-9845-817. That's 020-9845-817, or visit our website at www.jibuco.com/gh for more information about our brand. Jibu Water, a better life. Now, your money, that money you're working so hard to get, deserves the safest home. Now, with Telecel Cash, you are protected every step of the way. No risk, no worries, no long stories, okay? Just peace of mind. Dial *110# or download the Telecel Play app now for safe, secure transaction. Telecel Cash, the safer choice. So, yeah, there you have it. You need to protect that money you're working so hard for, okay? Now, joining me this morning for the conversation of our news review, Abdul Razak Hadi. He is MPP Communications team member, and Abdul Raham Mordan. Is that how it's pronounced?
Yes, please.
Mordan, NDC Communications team member. Today I'm going to the north. Today my name is Aisha Miriam. Oh, my name Miriam can even just be turned to Mariam.
Yes, Mariam. Yeah.
Mariam. Abdul Hadi.
But it's not all the Muslim names that you see that are from the north.
That's what I wanted to say.
No, but today I'm from the north. So what northern name would you give me? What northern name would you give me?
You have given it yourself, Mariam.
Mariam is a northern name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Mariam. No, I want something more heavier. Which one would you give me? What's your sister's name?
I don't have a sister.
You don't have a
Take Samira.
Samira. Samira is a good name, actually.
No,
I like.
you know the reason why he actually proposed Samira. I mean, nobody should tell you why.
Nobody's telling me, right?
Why he proposed Samira.
But Samira is a good name. So far, Samira has is the comfortable lead when it comes to the Muslim names. Mm-hmm. Anyone who wants to call themselves Samira has someone very 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 important to associate with. Okay, so I agree with the Samira. Let's go. So Today we're going to touch on a few conversations, but let's start with a conversation we started last week. That is, U.S. ICE confirms Ofori-Atta overstayed a visa, describes that him as an alien, an illegal alien. And we, like I mentioned last week, if you didn't join us, then we're going to just recap that a little bit. The operations of ICE have been very, very, visible to many, especially because we're in an age where social media, makes sure anything that's happening outside our jurisdiction is very in our faces. Now, we've seen operations of ICE. We didn't even know that it would get close to us. In all their deportations, we have not clearly seen a Ghanaian in there. There have been reports that some Ghanaians were moved out of their homes the way ICE operates, but we haven't clearly seen one until this very unfortunate situation with Ken Ofori-Atta came in. And as we speak now, it is alleged that he is still in their custody. And he has refused to interact with any of the consulate in the US, which is obviously one that represents Ghana. So we're going to get into the conversation. If you haven't seen the story, and I'll just run through it briefly, and then we'll come back in the studio, gentlemen, so you help us dissect that. Now, the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement, that is ICE, has confirmed that Ghana's former finance minister, Kenneth Nanaya Ofori-Atta, overstayed his visa and is considered an illegal alien under U.S. immigration law. ICE clarified that Ofori-Atta entered the United States on May 28, 2025, on a visitor visa that expired in November 27th, 2025. According to the agency, his conduct constitutes a violation of U.S. immigration regulations and could result in deportation. Also, you remember that his team, his legal team, came out with a statement that they had already started processes to change the status of his visitor's visa. I mean, there are questions that what you could have done that before knowing exactly what your condition was. If the case was that you're not feeling well and your visa expires on the 25th of November, then you know that if we're not able to fix that as soon as possible and I'm not able to get the needed medical attention, it will bother me. So let's start the process early. What does it even take to get that process, updated? So I'm going to come back to you. It is looking as though the conversation from the other side that he is intentionally staying in the U.S. to avoid any form of interaction with the OSP, as he has been invited many times, and he has indicated that it's because he is unwell, he's not able to show up. Is it not becoming true? If you look at the conversations that are coming up with time.
Well, thank you very much, and good morning to your cherished listeners. The issue around Ken Ofori-Atta is a sensitive one.
It is.
And, initially he left to seek for, medical attention.
Yes.
That is the understanding we all have.
We have, yeah.
And now it as though he's fine, but he still doesn't want to return to the jurisdiction. So the questions we are asking is, why does he not want to come? And we feel that, and let me say this, as a Ghanaian, I would be one of the many Ghanaians that would be, extremely excited that he's brought back to face whatever charges or allegations he's supposed to face.
Yeah.
But, these are issues of procedure. And we want to see that, as a nation that is governed with laws, as a nation that runs on, rule of law and the principles of democratic governance, we want to see that Ken Ofori-Atta is not treated unfairly.
True.
If indeed he has something to answer, because some questions to answer, it must be done with, procedural fairness. That is what we want to see, right? So Ken Ofori-Atta, I believe he should return to the jurisdiction to face whatever charges he's supposed to face. But you see, this issue of Ken Ofori-Atta's extradition revolves around the idea of the government or the position of the government that they are going to fight corruption. But you ask yourself what they are doing with the issue of Ferdinand Tamakloe, who was convicted in absentia.
You know what they're doing with that. You know what they're doing.
Well, I clearly cannot say that I know what they are doing.
Okay.
Because I think this should be one of the easiest things to do. She has been convicted, right? And so extraditing her back to the country should not be a big deal.
But you do know that there have been, conversations that she has. The processes have started.
Well, those are what we've actually seen. Two conflicting claims.
Yes.
You understand, and I'm sure you've seen that. Another on one bread, they are telling us that she's been detained by the embassy, and on another bread, we are seeing another thing different. So we don't really know which is correct, right? So as I was saying, let me continue there.
you know where you're passing is a slippery slope. You know not to go there. You know the conversations are two different conversations.
Yes.
Maybe in the same, maybe they look in nature, they look the same. But we're saying that this individual, and I sat here to tell you people that when someone says, I am not feeling well, everybody will be sick one day.
Yes.
And so let's be very careful the way we talk about that.
Yeah,
this is a couple of months ago. And I'm saying that if ICE has been able to remove the man from what he wasn't in the hospital.
No,
so we are clear that the former minister was not bedridden. So he could have totally moved back into the country.
Yes, so I understand that point you're making, but you see, there are instances where you can be receiving treatment from the house. So that is really not a big deal.
You have a point there. You can move on. Make your point.
So as I was saying, the issue with Ken Ofori-Atta, the issue with Ken Ofori-Atta and Tamakloe are just like, they now borders on extradition, which we have that agreement with the United States. Ghana has an extradition agreement with the United States. So I don't think it is a big deal to, make it look as though Ken Ofori-Atta, and our laws, made provisions that someone can be tried even in absentia, and that's the same thing that happened with Ferdinand Tamakloe.
Yes.
So we're asking why the AG is not exploring that. Why can he not follow that part, considering the fact that we're having issues with Ken Ofori-Atta?
Do you not think
the
it's just
extradition
fair?
process can be? What I'm saying is that the extradition process can be in place, but start the process in court. Let his representation come, and then the trial will start.
Okay.
If at the end of the day he's convicted and then he's extradited back to the jurisdiction, then he faces the charges, right? I don't think we should be making this a big deal.
Okay.
But look, there's this thing that I started by telling you that the government, is pursuing this case on the promise that they are going to recover all loot, Operation Recover All Loot Oral. And you look at the oral and the concept of oral, that is very brilliant. But the oral itself suffers some philosophical contradiction, in the sense that there is no dictionary in this country that would define all to mean some, right? Operation Recover All Loot. All cannot be defined to mean some and not all. And so if you look at the position of the government, before they came into office, they promised that they were recovering all loot. But upon assumption into office in the first 1 month of their governance, they discontinued over 10 cases against their members. This defeats the purpose of oral, who tells us that they are going to recover all the loot. I hope you're getting what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So you have, a decision, a promise to the Ghanaian people that you are going to recover all loot, and upon assumption into office, you have discontinued some cases against prominent members of your party. That defeats the purpose of oral. And if you look at oral from the very beginning, the oral concept does not recognize political orientation.
Yeah.
It is neutral, and that whoever is involved in corruption and its related activities should be dealt with according to law. So it is as though the government is witch hunting and not really doing what they said they were coming to do.
And in your mind, they have no moral grounds to go after.
Yes, exactly,
Ken
because
Ofori-Atta.
you cannot
I have
discontinue
seen
certain cases.
yeah.
And look, the issue with Kwabena Dufo, I just saw a release from Attorney General
Yes.
that there's no evidence against that case. That there was no evidence, and
The
that's
same
why
Attorney General that said that.
I saw a
the
report
fact
from
he's-
TV3 and other media
I
houses.
would have to see that as well, because we did see the report that said
Yes.
that, of course, he was going to be allowed to pay 60% of.
But that was,
but
that's where I'm coming to.
yeah,
That
yeah.
is inconsistent.
It's
It's
inconsistency.
inconsistent.
So
The premise-
in that report, it did say that even though they are not going to prosecute him, it does not indicate no wrongdoing, which means that even Attorney General admits that there was wrongdoing. So maybe in support of you, and I'm not deciding to do that.
Okay.
I'd say I'm just saying that if there was wrongdoing, then again there has been a little bit of an inconsistency
Exactly.
in there. But we're going to let that, once they've cleared, they've cleared. There's nothing we can do about it.
Yes. And so let me continue. The issue of oral, I'm dealing with the issue of oral because there are a lot of inconsistencies and contradictions around that issue. And yes, the issue of Ken Ofori-Atta borders on issues of corruption, which is
does.
what the oral committee was set up to do.
Right.
Right? So there's no deviation. I'm on point and I know what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yes. So oral, they told us that they were going to recover about 1 billion from Akufo-Addo's travels. And I wonder whether there was a breach of law with regards to the travels of Akufo-Addo. Because look, basic principles of contract, I'm not a lawyer, but I know some of these things. Basic principles of contracts tell us that when there is offer and there's acceptance and consideration is paid, then a contract is completed, right? And so you cannot come and tell us that Akufo-Addo, entered into contract to travel with, expensive jets and stuff, and for that matter, you are going to recover money from that. There's nothing to be recovered because principles of contracts tells us what constitutes a contract and what you can pursue in court.
Okay, I
So
think
there's no breach of law in this regard.
You
That is why we believe that the $21 billion that was promised by Ora is not going to be realized, because realistically it is not attainable.
Okay, I'll come back to comment. So keep this question in mind and you answer. It's not attainable because the processes being used are not, fully discovered, or is that from the get-go it was an unrealistic project they embarked on?
So
keep
the
that.
questions.
I'm going to go back to keep that. You answered that. Still on the issues of Ken Ofori-Atta, I've given you grounds on how I feel about it already, but in your opinion, where are we at and what could we possibly do to move past this conversation?
Yeah, thank you very much. And I want to also seize this opportunity to, say good morning to you and your cherished
Good morning.
Listeners and viewers who are at large. And you see, this issue of Ken Ofori-Atta transcends beyond our, shall I say, our mandate, because issues of legal are very complex, and issues now being tied or roped around diplomatic, discourse. And for me, it has been very mind-boggling to notice how NPP people are so much defending the wrongdoing of, the former finance minister. You see, you went out of this jurisdiction or this country because you feel like you were not war. And the question I keep on asking myself is that when the time of arrest of Ken Ofori-Atta happened, was he at the hospital, or was he at the sick bed, or was he near anywhere close to health facility? No, look at the lavish place they arrested him, or they took him.
I haven't seen where they arrested him.
The images are circulating everywhere.
I'll find it.
And we shouldn't be brainwashed by the mere fact that Ken Ofori-Atta is spill out that he's afraid to come down to the country. And why is he afraid to come down to the country?
You said you people will abuse him. You people will let him die.
Why? Is Ghana known for what Russia is known for? No.
Hey, no, I don't know what Russia is known for.
You see,
please not on this channel. I don't know what Russia is known for.
Ghana is not a banana republic.
Okay.
Ghana is a country that is governed by rules and that is governed by our supreme constitution. So the mere fact that you are scared, that is assumption, and his assumptions cannot be assumption of the constitution. That is where we must place the context.
Okay.
It is a mere feeling. And let's ask ourselves, how many people in this country has been subjected to what assumption that Ken Ofori-Atta is saying? No, we have not had any instances or any evidence to show that. This is what, if you are alleged to have be engaged in corruption and corruption related activities, you are going to be subjected into. Eventually, no. Yeah. That is, his feeling, and he's entitled to his own opinion. But the law must take its course, and he must come back to account for his stewardship. And for me, what keeps beating my wildest imagination is about the bonds, it's about the pensioners, it's about the hardship that Ken Ofori-Atta has subjected Ghanaians into. And I know he has brought this mess upon himself, and he knows the mess he has created. That is which hunting him. Not about what he feels is coming to entail. I don't know, getting it. Yeah. And if we look at, for 30 years now, in 2005, when Kufuor was in power, there was, a high-profile personality, that is Alhaji Issa Mobila, who was tortured. Who, if you go back to history, 2005, he was tortured, murdered, with in the custody of the military, should I say military apparatchiks. But it is not even tied to NDC government.
It's not.
I'm tying this premise because I want to paint the picture that NDC government is not noted for what Ken Ofori-Atta is presuming. Do you get it right? We are a party that upholds the integrity of rule of law. And Ken Ofori-Atta is not any special person.
Hey, he was our finance
What
minister.
special is Ken Ofori-Atta from Atuforsen? When Atuforsen was subjected into legal scrutiny under Ken Ofori-Atta's regime. how special and how different is Ken Ofori-Atta to the current president, John Dramani Mahama, when he was subjected into legal scrutiny under their administration when this Airbus scandal happened?
True.
How special and how different is Ken Ofori-Atta, different from our chairman, Ampofo, the former chairman of NDC? All these people stayed in the country, accounted for their stewardship. And I mean, when the rule of law find out that they were not guilty or they were not, involved in those allegations, they are free and they are working. So come back to the country, account for your stewardship, and when you are free, then, you are free to work as a free man. But hiding under the auspices of, I'm sick or I'm not feeling well, and hiding under the windows of diplomatic invasion will not save you from the raft of our constitution.
I think it's only clear that whilst we're looking for answers for whether or not Ken Ofori-Atta was, ill, somehow the jurisdiction he finds himself just, gives us clarity on what it is that we're dealing with. So I guess it's only fair that in no time he comes or he's sent back to Ghana. And due process is followed. I have been very careful about this conversation because once I hear sick, there's nothing else that I want to talk about. I want to be sure.
If I can come in.
Oh, your answer to my questions.
No, I think, are you done with me? Because
I'm done
you
with
were,
you. Are you not done? Are you
Oh,
yourself?
for me, I am not done.
What do you want to say?
In fact, when you give me the opportunity to,
we have more to talk about.
Yes.
I asked him a question. Why he thinks what's it called? Why did I miss this? Anyway, we're going to go back to other conversations once I remember what it is. I asked you a question about goodness. Am I missing this?
Let me clarify.
What do you want to clarify?
If you want to clarify, I have so much to clarify with my
What
good
do you want
brother
to clarify? I'm asking you. You are the reason why I'm forgetting what I want to say. What do you have to clarify?
Oh, but he made a lot of fallacious statements. He made about Ora.
Okay.
My brother,
thank you for that because it was oral I was looking
Yes,
for. I asked you a question
target.
about the success of Ora. You said it was not going to. It's been a sham from the beginning, and I was asking you why. Whether you think the processes they are following is not realistic, or is that the entire plan to eradicate corruption from our country? It's an impossible mission.
I said oral is not going to succeed, and I stated an example.
Okay.
With regards to the travels of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa.
Yes.
And I made a submission to the effect that when there's a contract that is being entered on behalf of the state and there's no breach of law, there's nothing to be recovered.
Right.
So, example, that 1.something billion cannot be recovered
Because it does not exist.
It does not.
It
even
was
exist.
based on a contract.
And I made a submission to the effect that oral, and some of the things that we found in oral, they are all assumptions that were, documented. Because I don't understand how you can prove before a court of competent jurisdiction how, how do you gather evidence when you ask people from all over the country to submit to you assumptions of, allegations of corruption? They were just assumptions.
But that's where it starts from.
That is why even the Attorney General, let me make my point. Attorney General himself agrees to the fact that a lot of the things that were composed in oral documents are all allegations. And that they got, and even Domelovo, who was the chairman of the oral committee, he told us they were rubbish. There were a lot of garbage in the oral document. So how do you prove this before court of competent jurisdiction?
I agree with you. I agree with you when you say they're picking up allegations.
So how do you prove that?
No. But you have to prove it. If someone says that you
and
have stolen money,
the proving is where we have issue.
That's
why I think it's not going to be.
My brother.
That is why they do not have the evidence to prove it before court of contempt.
So they throw it away then.
That is why today, as we speak, oral is not doing anything. The last time we've complained. Why is the Attorney General not going to court?
Why are you doing this?
We are only in a second year.
But why are you doing this yourself? Look at the cases, high-profile cases that is on our desk.
No. We're not going to this Monday morning. We're
So
in
finally
2026,
on that, he made submission to the effect that there's nothing that Ken Ofori-Atta should be scared of.
You speak. Trust me.
That Ken Ofori-Atta should be scared of in terms of coming back to the jurisdiction of Ghana.
Yeah.
And I give an example. The issue around the chairman of the NPP for Ashanti region, Chamawuntumi, when he was arrested, he was kept in detention for over a month. Contrary to Article 14 of the 1992 Constitution.
There was a reason.
Did he meet his bail condition?
Exactly. So he was on bail.
And
he was on bail.
So
he didn't meet the bail condition.
If you allow me, you'd understand.
And we're done. We're going to have to move on. So please quickly do that.
Yes.
And let's move on.
So the issue of Chamawuntumi, the bail condition was so onerous that in our case law, it is said that bail condition is not supposed to be used as a form of punishment. And if you read the case of Pebu vs. Attorney General, it's clear that we don't use it as a form of but if you look at it,
you're not asking the question. I'm asking the question, so you stay right there.
So if you look at it, it is clearly it was meant to punish him and not to actually grant him.
You cannot ascertain that.
And we've had instances of even lawyer Martin Kpebu. Lawyer Martin Kpebu was arrested on grounds of civil cases. Something that ordinarily you should go to court to file a case if you think you've actually been defamed. But that was not what happened. So there is clearly a breach of law. Okay. So he has every reason to be scared.
Yes. Okay, but it doesn't matter, in my opinion, whether you're scared or not. Once you're being accused of something, you have to show up and make it happen.
Ghana is a signatory to the Convention Against Torture.
You see, look.
I'm telling you that I do not believe that that's grounds. He's not just an ordinary Ghanaian, like in context, right? He was finance minister. So there are certain privileges that he would enjoy. In my opinion, there are no reasons for former finance minister to be worried about being tortured, even if we want to compare the cases, with former with the chairman Wuntumi. Bro, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. But let's go back. Let's go back to that.
Just one.
I want to Sedinam Tamakloe conversation. On Sedinam Tamakloe, you were saying earlier that there are conflicting stories that are showing up on the tab. So Nevada Detention Center confirms detention of Sedinam Tamakloe Atienu. So the Nevada Southern Detention Center in the United States has confirmed the detention of former chief executive officer of the Microfinance and Small Loans Center, Maslock, Sedina Tamakloe, to, of course, this was reported by City News. An officer at the center confirmed this in telephone interview with City News on Friday, January 16th. This comes after media reports indicated that her detention was false following a statement signed by Ghana's ambassador to the United States, Emmanuel Victor Smith, and dated Thursday, January 15, 2026, who noted that Tamakloe was arrested by the United States Marshals on January 6th, 2026. The officer told City News that the former chief executive officer of the microfinance, and that's Maslock, was sent to the detention center on January 7th, but could not confirm the reason for her arrest or the date for any possible release. Sedina Tamakloe in April 2024 was sentenced in absentia to 10 years imprisonment with hard labor after Accra Secretary. So we know the story, and so now we do know, by this confirmation that she is in custody or she's been detained. Again, there's a bit of clarity that we would need on why, whether it's related to what is happening here, or it's a different situation. However, if we want to say that it's connected to her sentence, then what does it take to send her back home? What are the processes that are going to be followed? Are we looking into that? How long would it take for us to have Sedina Tamakloe back here to serve her term?
Yeah, so basically, there's supposed to be an extradition request.
Yeah.
And, that has been done. It was done by the Akufo-Addo government in July 2024. So the extradition request was sent. And, after the extradition request is sent, the authorities in the United States will then take it up. And then if at the end of the day, there's a need for, the extradition, process to, kickstart, then they will start it and bring her back to the country to face, the charges. But you see, there's an issue with what was said, that she's been detained by the Nevada Embassy, so Nevada Detention Center. And I have a report here saying that Sedina Tamakloe, name not listed at the Nevada Detention Center, as stated by Ghana's embassy in the U.S.
When?
This was 16th January.
But this report we are reading from City as well was confirmed on Friday the 16th.
Same day.
So it was so this report was pursued because of the stories that because of what you just read, that it is false that she has been detained. And the officer did tell City News that it has been confirmed that her name is listed.
Good. So the issue of Sedina Tamakloe, she misappropriated over $90 million of state money. And so it is only good, or it's only fair, that she's extradited back to the jurisdiction. And we encourage the Attorney General to pursue the case, just as he's doing for Ken Ofori-Atta.
Yes.
There should be no exceptions to some of the cases we have. He must do that with full force. Yes.
This morning I was. You want to speak to that quickly?
Is it that because Sedna has some kind of affiliation with us? So that he's saying with some kind of energy in his
there's
voice.
There's no energy.
Oh, there's energy in
there's
his
no
voice
energy.
as compared to when
he
was actually talking about the Ken Ofori-Atta issue. You see, NDC, we are a party that don't shield ourselves when we were convicted of committing any crime against the state, or when you were kept in charge to supervise the dealing of the country, and you acted in that doesn't conform to the rules of our country, you are going to be dealt with. And NDC is a party that will make it clear from the onset. And since our party is in government, it doesn't mean that when you wrong, you are not going to be, hold accountable. You are going to be held accountable. So the issue of Sednam is not anything exceptional. It's something that, she's going to be taken through the due process, and, she's going to serve her term when she comes back. And believe you me,
it's a matter of serious concern.
Believe you me,
what?
90 million is a matter of serious
concern. It is.
If you want to compare her,
we're not going to do any, because I don't want you to put yourself in that corner. You're not going to compare anything, whether it's 1 cedi or 90 million. You have to be dealt with.
Oh, exactly.
So,
because we said 90 million is not. I wanted to say, do you know the alleged money that Ken Ofori-Atta has?
It doesn't matter.
How much?
We shouldn't let us go on that tangent. Do you get right? So Sednam, she's going to. Yes, I know for sure that our Attorney General is going to make everything possible that she comes back, regardless of that. The fact that she's also a party member. I know that.
We'll wait for that.
Yes, please.
We'll wait
processes
for that.
are underway.
Finally, on the stories of the Metro Mass buses that have been sold for 2,500 Ghana cedis, they are smiling to me. It's funny, eh? But don't worry. My only concern is that we don't want to have conversations that look like a fluke. You give us figures. Buses were sold for 2,500 Ghana cedis, which is absurd. Doesn't make,
I
economical
saw that,
sense.
But I don't know how true that is.
Again,
but if indeed it is
if
true,
indeed that is the case, I'm asking two questions, and I don't know if you both have answers to that, but I think that's where I want us to further elevate the conversation to, where we're asking what was the state of these buses, because you and I know that there are certain. There's a state a car will be in. It is as good as useless. When the engine is spoiled, when certain area part of the car is scraps, and you sell them as scraps.
They will just
you get what I mean? So we want to understand fully what state these cars were in, or these buses were in, before they were sold for that amount of money. And we know that those buses are worth more than that if they were in good state. Do you get what I mean? Or if they were repairable. So that is where I want us to elevate the conversation to. Again, I do not know if you have answers to that. You want to speak to that briefly, and also the fact that the NDC is government, or the existing government or our new government is purchasing some, I think some more,
200
some
diplomacies.
200 plus buses to replace those sold ones. It is your government, Hadi, who decided to do the 250,000 Ghana. 250.
He wasn't aware. Baby,
2,500. 2,500 Ghana.
Yeah,
cedis.
I saw the report.
Yes.
And I wasn't, so much impressed. I was sad that they had to sell it at such a low price. But if indeed it is true, I cannot speak to facts now as to whether or not it is true or not. But as we have seen, we'll just take it like, like that. We just take it like that, and then we'll speak to it in that tangent. But I believe the person who supervised that transactions did a poor job. And you see, I believe this is some form of a system failure, that buses are just sold out in like chicken. It doesn't sound well. Even in some instances, you have government, coming in to service them, to get pass to revitalize them.
Yeah.
But it's not the best.
It's not the
Even
best.
this, that is true.
I agree. All right, from you.
Yeah, as this issue, just happened recently, and we got to know it when the issue of transport crisis happened.
Yes.
That is when the whole debate of this Metro Mass happened, and you know that we had a time where Metro Mass was, making so much loss that they can't sustain their gains anymore. If you remember very well, Metro Mass was at the verge of collapsing, and I'm not surprised that they have to resort to that kind of attitude by selling a bus at 2,500 Ghana cedis. And I even ask yourself, how much is even a tie of a bus? How much does it cost? So let's move away from political commentary and face the issues as it is. It is the act wasn't right. You get right. And for me, anyone or the former MD must be called to account for it. Yes, must be called to, for us to know what goes into it. What happened, and those buses were sold at such, lower amount. Do you get right? So that we can take the conversation from that particular from that tangent. And I listened to, some recent interviews from the current MD, or no, the deputy MD, that most of the buses were unserviceable. That is,
whatever that means.
Yes, I don't know what that means, that it was unserviceable. But if it was unserviceable, but that price tag is something that is very questionable, and we must call all actors to account for that.
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree with you more. I think the conversation should go beyond, we're buying new buses, but those ones were sold for $250 or $230, and that's it, and everybody moves on, and we can start buying new ones. I think it should be moved away from there. I think the Public Account Committee gets to sit on this one, right? They are able to.
Not yet. I've not seen that.
No, but they are able to sit on a conversation
because,
like this.
It's an agency under the Ministry of Transport.
Right.
So, they can...
They are able to
sit
on this conversation. I think they can. But then again, like I said earlier, this conversation needs to be elevated from here, where people are saying that, when we came to government, we met that they had sold, this bus, but we are buying new one, and that's it. We ended there. That's not where it should end. I think it could get worse if that's how we want to end conversations.
Yeah, basically, we have an issue when it comes to accountability.
We do.
We have to strengthen that.
Absolutely. But your primary is coming up soon. I was saying this morning that it's almost as if the conversation has taken a nosedive. Like everything's gone silent. What's happening? Are we still campaigning for the 31st?
Yes, we are. We are on grounds, and we are campaigning.
What camp do you belong to?
I belong to the Baumia camp.
Bawizi. Oh, I see. So you're winning.
The winning team.
You're winning. Okay. Why?
I believe he has the temperament. He has the competence. We've seen him, in leadership for over 8 years, and we know what he's capable of doing as, as a person. And Baumia is the right person.
He's the right person.
He's the right person that can win us the election.
All right. I think that's currently in Ghana one of the biggest.
I'm only surprised that our friends in the NDC are now using their platforms to do serious campaign for.
This is mere.
For-
It is
for-
just
for
an
another-
allegation. Tell me
Yeah,
which
that's
NDC
for a
platform?
certain candidate,
Which
and
NDC
it is out
You're
of
not
platform?
serious
fear.
about what you just said.
which
out of
They are not
fear.
campaigning anything for anybody.
Can you just
Their
imagine?
own is coming up because right after yours, the question will now be that who
Yes,
represents
Yeah, but you
the
see, what I'm saying
NDC
is that
after.
they know that
Ah,
in the event that we elect
Yeah,
Dr.
yeah.
Bawumia,
we don't know anything.
there's danger in 2020.
We don't
Is
know
there?
anything.
So they have to
I will
campaign
sit
for.
down here.
We will come back on Monday and hopefully dissect because by that time we're very close to the 31st.
Sure.
And so I guess next Monday it will be about the MPP.
Very well.
And we'll bring you back in the studio to have the. But gentlemen, thank you. Thank
you
you
very
so much for coming this morning. Why do you want to have? What do you have to say?
Yes. I just wanted to.
You don't want to say anything.
In fact, I just wanted to remind Ghanaians
Yes.
that not long ago,
Yes.
they should remember that our economy was branded as a junk economy and described as a distress, economy. We were in this country where our GDP rose to, 5.8%. We were in this country when our oil to GDP, nearly collapsed. But as it stands now, it stands at, 7.8%. We are in this country now. Historically, our inflation stands at 5.4%.
We're happy people. So what's your point?
My point is that we should be guided by that principle.
So
And
we choose a better leader for them.
for them, so that
I'm not a delegate. I don't get to vote for them. I wish them well.
so that they don't retire the progress that we have chalked.
So they should move on from Bawumia to Ken.
They should move
Good for
on
you.
from. They should move
Good
on.
for
They should move on.
Good for you.
fear,
Now,
the
thank
fear
you
of
so much for
Bawumia.
being
The
a part
fear
of the
of
show
this is
this
no fear.
morning. I see what Harry was talking about. They are
see,
campaigning
clearly.
for them.
Oh,
It's
this is
sad.
this is no fear. I
That's
just
to you out there. The conversation continues online. MX24G, gentlemen, thank you so much. It's always a delight to sit with you, gentlemen. It's always a delight. Thank you to you out there as well. We have more coming up on the show. Be right back after this.